This is impossible. I am never gonna come up with an idea for this video.
I've got an idea.
Whoa. Wait. Did you just talk?
I'm always talking, kid. You just haven't been listening. Listen, kid, if you really want to do something worth watching, you gotta do your part.
Do my part.
Sure, millions of people all over the country are doing their part by joining the United Citizen Federation and keeping our civilians safe.
Young people from all over the globe are joining up to fight for the future.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part too.
Yeah, okay, yes, I've seen Starship Troopers, but what exactly is your idea?
It's right in front of you, kid. Make a video deconstructing Starship Troopers.
No, I did a video about RoboCop just last month, and it really seemed like nobody else sees it as a horror movie. And Starship Troopers is amazing, but it's not a horror movie.
Not a horror movie? Not a horror movie? Sure, it's a satirical look at fascism, but the horrors of the world are apparent, from the deaths, from personnel to the eradication of entire cities on Earth, to the very depressing meat grinder known as the armed forces. Just because it's not dark doesn't mean it's not horror.
Huh. I mean, yeah, I guess you're right, but do you really think people are gonna watch it?
2 words, kid. Denise Richards.
Busey. All right, I'm gonna get to work.
Take care of yourself, kid. I'll be in touch.
Look, I don't want to waste anyone's time. We all know that Starship Troopers isn't exactly a horror movie. It's a science fiction intergalactic comedy with a light tone and Neil Patrick Harris.
Try to visualize it.
But it's also a well-made and tightly performed 90s creature feature that is sure to tickle the nostalgia bone for many Joe Blow horror fans. And with Paul Verhoeven being fresh on the mind from our RoboCop episode, we thought it would only make sense to follow it up with another Verhoeven classic, which definitely showcases how far the filmmaker has come in the 10 years between films. If you're still not convinced, this film also delivers on terrifying creatures, plenty of blood and guts, and even some boobies for you slasher trope seekers out there. While being more comedy action than anything, Starship Troopers is a film that brings the goods with every action sequence and doesn't spare audiences the gory details, while also giving you sort of a college underdog comedy.
And sometimes, that's simply all I'm looking for.
Do you get me?
So, my goal today is not to convince you that Starship Troopers is a horror movie, but what's more is that I want to convince you that it's worth watching anyway. And the best way I know how to do that is to put this movie under the microscope and figure out just what makes it so special after all these years.
I'm Kier with Joe Blow Horror Originals, and you're watching Deconstructing.
Released in 1997, Starship Troopers follows the story of Johnny Rico, played by Casper Van Dien, a recent high school graduate living in the 23rd century who decides to skip his admission to Harvard and enlist in the United Citizen Federation, a special branch of military that's engaging in a vast and seemingly endless war with the creatures who inhabit our neighboring galaxies. While his parents don't approve, Johnny's clairvoyant friend Carl, played by Neil Patrick Harris, is also enlisting, but in the Federation's intelligence branch. As well, his friend with benefits, Dizzy, played by Dina Meyer, is also joining up, and so is Johnny's new girlfriend, Carmen, played by Denise Richards. If you were a kid in the 90s, did you know anybody who didn't have a crush on Denise Richards? Comment below. So, when Rico and his friends enter the Federation as newbies, they all quickly climb the ranks of their respective divisions as they each develop their own new relationships and gear up for their mission to take out an army of giant arachnid aliens.
And to best look into what makes this movie
So good, we're gonna break it down into our 4 key categories. First, we're going to discuss a brief origin of the film and how it got made. This is much more interesting of a topic than you might think, so stick around. Then we'll get into the film's legacy, which includes a similar franchise fate to RoboCop. After that, we'll play a quick game of Joe Blow horror trivia before we take on our most difficult topic, the movie's X Factor, where we look at that one special something that really makes it shine. If you're interested in revisiting this 90s cult classic and having one hell of a time along the way, then make sure you leave a like on this video and of course subscribe for the best in horror movie content.
I'd expect anyone in this unit to do the same for me.
And let's hit play on Starship Troopers. Okay, so once again, this movie is a collaboration of Paul Verhoeven and Edward Lumiere, the duo that brought us RoboCop. However, instead of being an original story, this film is based on and reworked from a 1959 novel of the same name. The original novel was written by Robert Heinlein, and when I say that the book was reworked, I don't mean the story was completely changed. However, in classic Verhoeven-Lumiere fashion, the commentary and subtext of the novel were dramatically altered. Here's what I mean.
Pay attention.
Starship Troopers, the novel, is widely believed to be less of a satirical adventure and more of a propaganda piece for fascism, racism, and the glorification of violent behavior. Now, I haven't read the book, and some that have say that there is a sort of irony and sarcasm in the writing, which makes it more critical of those ideas. It's really not for me to say, but what I can say with absolute certainty is that Paul Verhoeven did basically the opposite of that. Much like RoboCop's commentary on police brutality, Starship Troopers offers a not-so-subtle criticism on military, politics, and general patriotism. You might think that the comedy in this movie comes from those little digs, but it doesn't.
The enemy cannot push a button if you disable his hand.
The comedy in this movie comes from the incredible interactions between these young soldiers who are all learning to survive in their new roles. Verhoeven directed these characters to be perfectly likable, brave, tough, and funny, but also kinda dumb. Well, mostly dumb.
Don't think about it. Just go on instinct.
Despite the controversy of the source material, Verhoeven's reputation as a filmmaker got him the street cred he needed to receive a lofty $100 million budget from TriStar and Touchstone. And folks, I do not say this lightly, but they put that shit to such good use with the special and visual effects in this movie. It is way too good to have come out of the 90s. I mean, am I out of my mind, or does this look better than like half of the CGI we see today? That's about half of the movie's total budget, but it is so worth it. Unfortunately, the film barely made its budget back and struggled to break even at the box office, which is a tale too often told with these beloved cult classics. And that brings me to this film's legacy. Despite the movie's lack of profits, Starship Troopers ended up receiving the franchise treatment and getting 2 direct-to-video sequels, Starship Troopers 2, Hero of the Federation, and Starship Troopers 3, Marauder. While Verhoeven was interested in directing a sequel, he stated that he needed time to develop something fresh and new. Unfortunately, due to the low box office numbers, these sequels were never intended to be released in theaters. This caused Verhoeven to walk away from the project, but Ed Lumiere stayed on as the writer of both sequels and even directed the 3rd film himself, which brought back the character of Johnny Rico, played again by Casper Van Dien. More recently, there have been 2 CGI animated films titled Starship Troopers Invasion and Starship Troopers Traitor of Mars. I haven't seen any of these subsequent films, and it's not that I'm not interested in the universe, but more that I'm not looking for a watered-down version of the first film's original message. And from what I've heard, none of the sequels really seem to capture that balance.
Come on, you hate! You want to live forever?
However, there have been talks of a reboot and a legacy TV series that kicked up pre-pandemic, but have since died down into rumored territory. But I do have high hopes that eventually we will get something that does proper justice to this movie. Maybe I'm being optimistic, but I really believe that the magic of this cast could take the sequel a long way. While certain actors from the film have definitely reprised their roles in small ways or cameos, I think a Starship Troopers film that brings back the main players who survived the first film, and if we made them the focus of the story and take them on one final mission, maybe then we can get something worth watching and discussing.
Whenever the three of us are together, I feel like things might just work out.
I hope you're right, Carmen.
Verhoeven's use of RoboCop-style propaganda commercials are also very much missing from my life these days, so I'm gonna need more of that ASAP.
The bugs send another meteor our way. But this time, we're ready. Planetary defenses are better than ever.
When it comes to why this particular movie is so beloved, I think it really comes down to a combination of things.
For fans of old science fiction movies, this movie harkens back to those classic Alien films with its retro futuristic aesthetics. And if you love movies like Stripes or even Road Trip, this movie will definitely give you those vibes. If you're simply looking for an empathetic approach to being a young and stupid kid who follows his heart into the most dangerous planets to impress a girl because he's too young and stupid to know better, well, this movie's definitely for you. It explores its share of political themes, yes, but it also explores far more grounded and relatable themes like friendship, loyalty, heroism, and finding your place in either this world or an arachnid-riddled war zone somewhere off galaxy.
Hey, guys, we ought to get tattoos.
Okay, now admittedly, if you're a fan of this movie, you're probably well familiar with this story, but I want to tell it here anyway because in case you don't know it, I think it really speaks to this film's true reach and legacy. And also, it's really cute. During an interview in 2016, Casper Van Dien told a story of a time that he was picking up his 10 and 8-year-old daughters from school. When he pulled up to the pickup zone, he noticed his two daughters talking to some boys from their class, and when they saw Casper, they called out, "Hey, Johnny Rico," as the two had recognized him from the movie. When he asked the boys how they recognized him, they said that their dads had made them watch the film together. That just goes to show you that we're all getting older and this movie is officially a dad movie. But look, I don't have any kids, and even if I did, this is a fucking sweet dad movie.
Van Dien continued with the story, stating that his daughter asked him if he actually went naked for the movie's shower scene. When Casper told his daughter that he did indeed go nude, she replied saying, "Dad, how could you do that to me? My life is ruined."
Who asked you to be so nosy?
And before we move on, let's see if you can answer this question.
During the production, which actor from Starship Troopers suffered from heat stroke while filming in the 120-degree desert weather? Was it A. Casper Van Dien, B. Jake Busey, C. Clancy Brown, or D. Patrick Muldoon? Comment your answers down below.
Well, too bad. We're in this for the species, boys and girls. It's simple numbers. They have more.
Okay, look, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. As usual, I am having a very difficult time with this portion of the video. This is just a movie that I adore. It's a movie that works for me on just about every single level, so there is so much to praise. I mean, the movie is practically one giant walking X Factor. This is even Paul Verhoeven's favorite film of his own. And how do I distill that down to one tiny thing that makes it shine?
Well, first I wanted to praise the casting of this movie, and I'm not just talking about NPH and Denise Richards. These movies' supporting cast and main characters are incredible. We get Jake Busey, Clancy Brown, Michael Ironside, Amy Smart, and even Seth Gilliam. These actors are all great on their own, but together, it's truly something special. I also wanted to give the X Factor to Denise Richards just based on principle, and then I even toyed with the idea of using this section to discuss the incredible CGI and visual effects that hold up so well. But the truth is, you've heard all of that before. You already know that the creature design is flawless, the comedy is raunchy and light, the performances are perfectly dialed in, and Johnny Rico's hair is literally ideal.
Hey! What? You're drifting!
But what I think is the glue that holds it all together is the brave and controversial decision of Paul Verhoeven and Ed Lumiere to adapt a book written in hate and turn it into something that brings people joy. Imagine reading a book or seeing a movie that you don't necessarily agree with, or in fact is the exact opposite of things that you personally believe. Then imagine taking that thing that you didn't like and telling the same exact story but flipping it in a way that it means the exact opposite. It is brilliant. It would be like taking the Titanic and then remaking it into a commercial for cruise ships, and then making people like it. If you ask me, it more than deserves the praise that it gets as a cult classic film.
Here's a tip. Aim for the nerve stem and put it down for good.
Welcome to Friday Night Flicks, everybody. We got a great show lined up for you tonight in Auditorium 1, so head on inside and enjoy. I hope Kier wears a gold chain tonight. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Friday Night Flicks. As usual, I'm your host, Kier Gomes from JoeBlow.com. And folks, we got a good one tonight. We got a great one, actually. Thank you to everybody who's already here and came for the pre-show. Looked like there was a bunch of you in there, so thank you so much for that. I'm going to get some music going, and then we'll get into the show. Okay, how's everyone doing tonight? How was everybody's week? What's the good word out there? Let's try a different sound. Let's try lounge music in the background tonight. I'm feeling pretty chill this week. Okay, and as usual, you guys, I'm counting on you. Let me know if that music is too loud, okay? Grand Admiral Thrawn, I came through for you. Also, shout out Kevin, who does our thumbnails, requested specifically that I wear a gold chain for this event, so I did indeed. Okay, you guys know you can always count on that. How's everyone doing? How are you guys? I feel like this time the week did not fly by. This time I actually can't believe it's only been a week since I did this. Felt like a long one this week. I don't know if maybe maybe it's just me. But between last Friday and this Friday, man, kind of felt like a slog to get here. But we're here, and I'm happy, and hopefully you guys are happy too. Gold. Yes, I love that. When I read that, I'm assuming this is intended Grand Admiral Thrawn, but when I read that, I'm reading it with Mike Myers' gold member accent with Austin Powers. I love gold. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? Oh, hopefully you're not cringing too early into the show, folks. Hopefully not. And hopefully you like the background music. Oh, Cartoon Man. You know what's funny? I specifically looked for a clip from Three Ninjas High Noon at Mega Mountain to play on the show, and I could not find a quality version of that film anywhere. At least not that I could get for the show. My thoughts on Three Ninjas High Noon at Mega Mountain are that it's the worst of the four movies. If I had to rank them, it would go number 1, and then it would go probably Knuckle Up, then Kickback, which is the second one where they go to Japan, and then Mega Mountain, which I'm not even a fan of High Noon at Mega Mountain. I guess it's fine, but it's my least favorite of the four movies, and I love the Three Ninjas movies. I don't know, has anybody in here even seen the Three Ninjas movies? Because if you haven't, there you go. I just filled up your weekend. You got 4 movies. That's two tonight, 2 tomorrow, and then on Sunday you watch whatever the hell you want. Okay. Oh, good, that was intended. Grand Admiral
Grand Admiral Thrawn. Okay, let me take my nameplate down. You guys know my name by now. By this point, it's been up for a while. So guys, the main topic of the show, as you can tell from the thumbnail, from Dwayne Johnson's big, sexy, sweaty, bald head next to me. Today we're going to be talking about a special topic, and that is going to be the fascinating topic of professional wrestlers that have turned or tried to turn into actors, thespians, okay, theatricals. Now, here's the thing. I find that wrestling and film, the fandoms of those two things can sometimes have a ton of overlap. So hopefully I'm catching some of you in that net. Oh, Carlos, you got to get in on the Three Ninjas movies, my man. Go back and you'll thank me. I promise you, at least watch the first one. You will thank me. Best like movie robbers ever. Yeah, Rowdy Roddy will be in here. Don't worry. All right. So anyway, wrestling is kind of, I feel like going from wrestling to acting is sort of a natural progression in that wrestling requires a lot of acting. It requires physical acting for sure, but you have scripted beefs and kind of dialogue between characters, and that's what they are, as characters at the end of the day. So acting and wrestling are not so different, you and I. And I think as a result of that, it's fascinating that some professional wrestlers have managed to fully transition into the world of filmmaking, while some have tried and failed utterly, and some fun stuff in between. So today we're going to take a look at some of my favorite examples of successful wrestling to acting endeavors and some unsuccessful ones for the meme. You know what I'm saying? Okay, thanks guys. I'm just catching up on some of these comments. Now, here's one thing I have to call out right away, okay? I am well aware that as of right now, this show, if you're watching it in real time, is happening at the exact same time that Jake Paul and Mike Tyson are fighting each other. So I'm missing that for you guys. Not that I'm a fan of really either one of those boys, but I hope Mike Tyson whips some serious ass tonight. And if you're with me, like the video. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't know. Go Tyson. That's where I'm rooting for Tyson. But if you're gonna watch the fight later to be here, then thank you so much. You and I are the same. You're one of the real ones, one of the Rizzles. Yeah, yeah. Hulk Hogan is the most successful wrestler turned actor to date. Yeah, all 4 movies he's been in, and they're all winning movies, aren't they? They're all winners. One of them actually is. One of them is a great movie. Yeah, so we are going to be talking about those, and I thought it'd be fun. I brought up a tier list ranking. Oh, Tyson goes on at 8. Okay, so the event. Okay, so we're good. We're good. Nobody's going to miss anything. Thank you, John, a friend of the show, producer of the show. Also, thank you for being here. So yeah, we're gonna do kind of a tier list for the meme. Now, ultimately, when it comes to wrestlers turned actors, there's not that broad of a spectrum. There's kind of the ones that broke through and then the ones that didn't. But I do think that some of the ones that I have queued up are just gonna be fun to talk about. And for those of you that love wrestling, you're gonna get a huge kick out of this. Okay. Darnell's watching both. Right on, man. Yeah, maybe I'll pull it up on my phone here. Just kidding. I won't. I would get way too distracted, I'm sure. Cartoon Man, hello. Welcome home, Cartoon Man. All right, guys. I'm gonna get into some small movie news stuff, I think, before we get into the main topic. I think the main topic tonight is gonna be the primary focus. I think it will require the biggest block of the show. But before we get into it, let's warm it up. There's been some interesting movie news out there, and I want to get into some of it. All right, just in case you guys haven't caught some of this stuff, because it's a lot to keep up with. All right, I'm going to share my screen. We're going to take a look at some news. The first thing I wanted to share with y'all was this article, which I found to be interesting. I'm going to do this. I think this probably works better for me. So we have our first kind of, not leaked, but our first released plot details for the long-awaited, highly anticipated, and hopefully not shitty Marvel Studios Fantastic Four First Steps. I'm in a voice mood tonight. I feel like doing voices. But I read the kind of, I don't know, vague plot synopsis that they've given us here. And to be honest, it doesn't seem like it's really new information. So I'm a little bit confused by that. But also seeing it all kind of cemented into one statement does feel good. It does feel like the movie is kind of, it's starting to get me a little excited. And for those that don't know, I have yet to find a Fantastic Four movie that I enjoy. I do think the Tim Story ones, the first two from 2005 and whatever, 2008 or whatever, I think they're cute. They're kind of dumb, silly movies. They're fine, but I haven't gotten a Fantastic Four movie that I truly enjoy. And for those of you that are going to say that the 1994 one is a classic, fuck you. No, it's not. Okay. All right. Let's take a look, though, at this plot synopsis from Fantastic Four. That's what I want to do. So for those of you that didn't read this, this came out on X, formerly known as Twitter. And the plot synopsis is as follows. Set against the vibrant backdrop of a 1960s-inspired retro-futuristic world, the Fantastic Four, First Steps, introduces Marvel's first family, Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman, Johnny Storm, or the Human Torch, and Ben Grimm, the Thing, as they face their most daunting challenge yet. Forced to balance their roles as heroes with the strength of their family bond, they must defend Earth from a ravenous space god called Galactus, played by Ralph Ineson. If you don't know his voice, it's good. It's good. He's from, The Witch and, some other stuff too. The Green Knight, he was in that. Anyway, Galactus and his enigmatic herald, Silver Surfer, played by Julia Gardner. And if Galactus is planned to devour the entire planet and everyone on it weren't bad enough, it suddenly gets very personal. Interesting. Now, here's the thing. Like I said, there's not like a ton of new information in that statement, but seeing it all in one statement does do something for me, at least. But the one piece of information that did seem not new, but just certainly the biggest tease is in this final statement here, where it says, and if Galactus' plan to devour the entire planet and everyone in it isn't bad enough, it suddenly gets very personal. So that's interesting to me. I don't know what that could mean. I don't know what comics they're pulling from for stories. I'm trying not to spoil myself before the movie comes out. And I haven't read a ton of Fantastic Four stuff. And the stuff that I have read is not so much from the old days. So there's certainly a lot of stuff that I could read without being spoiled, or that I could hear without being spoiled, because I haven't read those stories. But I'm trying to kind of keep it cold. And I'm very curious as to what this movie is going to be doing. I'm assuming it's going to be some kind of, it's already been confirmed that they're set like in a different timeline, right? So they're in like a different world where the Fantastic Four are like the superheroes, and the Avengers maybe aren't there. But they got to get into the MCU somehow. So I don't know what the movie's going to set up. I don't know if it's going to be like they're not in the MCU, and then by the end of the movie they just get into the MCU, or maybe if they wanted to do it, the not a satisfying way for the audience, do a couple of movies outside of the MCU. Do a couple, these first two Fantastic Four. Maybe they stay in their little 1960s universe, because here's what I don't want to see. I don't want to fall in love with the aesthetics of the Fantastic Four's universe and then only be in it for an hour, and then immediately we're back in the same shitty gray warehouse that is the MCU. You know what I mean? That would kind of bum me out, and I hope that is not the case. It seems like this movie, it doesn't mention anything about a multiverse. It doesn't mention anything about that. So maybe this first movie will be an isolated from the rest of the MCU type thing, and I hope that's the case. Just for now. I don't want to see the Fantastic Four for 5 minutes on their own and then immediately get reminded that they're in a universe where, just 2 weeks ago there was a fucking Disney Plus tie-in or something, I can't handle all that shit right now. I just want some good Fantastic Four. Okay, and I hope I'm not alone, and I hope that's what we get. Yeah, Fallon, dude. I specifically said not to tell me this. By the way, the 1994 unreleased film is still the best adaptation of the comic. Nuff said. I have had the pleasure of catching a pirated copy of the 1994 unreleased film, and I don't know. I think the best adaptation, if there had to be one, would be like the 2005 one from Tim Story. And I'm not saying it's a good movie. I'm not saying it's a good movie. Thoughts on the Rise of the Silver Surfer? I actually, Cartoon Man, I did a whole video on this last year here on Joe Blow Originals. So go check that out if you want like all of, if you want the full answer to my thoughts on that. But just to kind of paraphrase it for you, not a huge fan of that movie, but big fan of the look of Silver Surfer and the choice to have Lawrence Fishburne voice him. So fan of those things for sure. Boo, nothing. That movie sucks ass and we both know it, pal. I don't know. Not for me anyhow. Let's take a look at what else is going on in the news. The movie news. Hey, look, there's me. Hello. Who do you guys think is going to win between Tyson and Paul? We're talking about there's discourse on the website, Spinal Tap 2 director teases what the band has been up to for the last 40 years. If you guys didn't hear about this, I'm just now hearing about this. It looks like it's just now breaking. There's the director of Spinal Tap 2. If you haven't seen This Is Spinal Tap, it's one of the great parody films of all time. It's kind of like Walk the Line if they were doing it for like a metal band, like a Def Leppard type, like a hair metal band from the 80s. Dude, that movie rules. These go to 11. So, that's cool. I'm excited to see what the band's been up to for the last 40 years. Certainly. We're definitely in the time of legacy sequels. And it looks like all these parody movies are really that's what's really popping off right now, right? Excuse me. It's these parody films. We have Spaceballs 2 coming out. We have a new Scary Movie coming out. Airplane 2 with Liam Neeson. Okay, so there's what the hell's going on? These parody movies, I know. Yeah, Mr. Bucketman, I know. This is exciting times to be a Spinal Tap fan. These go to 11. That's my I just sometimes. All right, let's see. New Melissa Barrera movie. Okay. Zack Snyder flashes a badge as he prepares to direct and co-write an untitled LAPD-focused action thriller. I'm gonna skip that one. Thinking I could just picture in my mind what a Zack Snyder movie about the LAPD in a thriller would look like. Very slow motion, very edgy, very sexy, and I think I could probably skip that one. I think I'll probably skip it. I'll check out a trailer. If it goes straight to Netflix, I'll definitely skip it. You know what I'm saying? What else we got? Yeah, Mike Flanagan. If you guys didn't see this, is cool. Mike Flanagan recently talked about what he thinks are some underrated Stephen King titles, adaptations. And if you didn't know, Mike Flanagan directed probably one of the most incredible sequels in horror history with Doctor Sleep as a sequel to The Shining. I don't know if you guys love that movie. I fucking love that movie. And he shared his thoughts on what some of the best and most underrated Stephen King joints are. And I will say, for those of you that are like me and you kind of try to collect Stephen King movies like they're fucking Pokemon, like you just want to be like, I've seen them all, the good and the bad. This could be a good source for you on movies to check out, but potentially movies you haven't even heard of, or that you haven't seen, or that you've been sleeping on. Like Cronenberg's The Dead Zone with Christopher Walken. That's a good one. Night Flyer, that is a good one. So that's fun. I think you guys should check out that list if you're interested in checking some Stephen King films that you probably have missed, or at least, I don't know, maybe haven't seen since the 80s or the 90s. Sometimes that's the case with me, is I'll come back to it. Like Thinner. You guys know that Stephen King film Thinner? I love that movie. And I think I maybe saw it as a kid, maybe. I kind of remembered some of the visuals, but I kind of just always went through life thinking, nah, that's one of the ones that's not for me. I watched it a couple years ago with my wife, loved it, thought it was awesome. Really hope that there's a proper remake of that coming soon. I think Flanagan would be good for that too. Just kind of, thinking out loud there. So yeah, good stuff. All right, but I know what you guys want to talk about. You want to talk about the wrestlers. You want to talk about the big fellas that win in the ring and win our hearts. They win in the ring, they win on the screen. That's what they do. Now look, I have a tier list, and I think it's going to be fun and funny because, like I said, the kind of variety, the pool for these actors, the range isn't that big. It's kind of like I said, you either kind of made it as a successful actor or you didn't. But we've all seen our favorite wrestlers pop up in a movie or two, and we've all been like, hey, look at that, there's fucking Goldberg. So hopefully today, we'll all be doing that together. That's a feeling that I'm hoping we can all share, for what it's worth anyway. All right, dudes, let's blow up the screen. There we go. That's a little better. Sean Curley, what the hell are you talking about, bud? Yikes. I don't know. I just look over at the comments and I see a couple that, I don't know what to say. All right, guys, so this is the list. Now, listen, here's the other thing. You have movies out there like The Wrestler by Darren Aronofsky or like Ready to Rumble, if you guys remember that movie, Ready to Rumble, with David Arquette. And it doesn't matter, with David Arquette. That movie has like 100 cameos from professional wrestlers, specifically like NWO, WCW era. Like Sting has a cameo, like The Undertaker, Rey Mysterio. Like a ton of those guys have like a small cameo in a movie about wrestling. We're not going to talk about that stuff. Although I think Ready to Rumble is kind of, it's one of those movies that it's a guilty pleasure movie for me, 100%. But it just we'd be here all night, and I can't rank Sting on a cameo as himself for 5 minutes in a movie, Cartoon Man. Not only did I know that, I have a surprise for you. Macho Man as Bonesaw in Spider-Man. He's on this list, my friend, because I thought it'd be fun to talk about. Hello. All right, let's get into it, dudes. Let's get into it. Up first, we have Hulk Hogan, formerly known as Hollywood Hulk Hogan, for those of you that remember his career pre-80s, or during the 80s, I guess. Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Now, this was a picture of him in Rocky. If you guys remember Rocky 3, the one with Mr. T, Hulk Hogan is in that film. And there's a really funny picture. Maybe I could pull it up. I'll pull it up later if I think of it. But there's a really funny like frame of the movie in Rocky where you can see it's a profile shot and it's Rocky, kind of like the two fighters are face to face, and it's a profile shot. And you have Rocky. And then way above him, you just have Hulk Hogan's chest and like torso, like his titties are in Rocky's face. It's so funny. The frame is like, if you were to just screenshot it, put some captions on it, it's a meme. It's just Rocky looking tough at Hulk Hogan's chest. It's so funny. Now here's the thing. Can Hulk Hogan act? I've seen him in 3 movies. I've seen him in Rocky 3. I've seen him in 3 Ninjas, High Noon at Mega Mountain. And I've seen him in that fucking movie where he plays a babysitter. Mr. Nanny, I think it's called. And I gotta say, Hulk Hogan is a bad actor. Now listen, before you guys start spiting me in the comments, what are you talking about? He's the GOAT. He's the fucking best. Listen to me carefully, okay? I'm not saying anything about him as a wrestler. I'm saying that as an actor, as a guy who tried to go from being a professional wrestler to a professional screen actor, he's very bad at it. He's not good at acting, and that's not against him. It's just not his thing. So don't come for me is what I'm saying. Okay? Don't let this get confrontational. I'm not picking on anybody besides Hulk Hogan in this case. Listen, Hulk Hogan, okay. Hogan is what I would consider, he's one of those actors that when he's in a movie, he doesn't know how to not be Hulk Hogan. Let me see. I have a slide for him coming up here. We'll get to it. The whole point is, there he is. Hulk Hogan has one character, and it's just, hey brother, it's Hulk Hogan, brother. And like, if that's not who he's supposed to be for every scene of a movie, which hopefully it wouldn't be, then he's not, it's just not what he does. Okay. So to me, Hulk Hogan, bad actor, cool, iconic character, whatever, wrestler, whatever, bad actor. No good. The no good, very bad actor. But let's shift gears. Let's talk about one of the successful cases. This one is one of what I would say one of 3 truly astonishing transitions from wrestling to acting. And that is one Dave Bautista. Dave Bautista. Now, look, he started off just like all these guys did, just doing roles kind of as the big brute guy in movies. And for somebody like Dave Bautista, that actually kind of was, I think, a good thing for him because you look at him and he's very physically imposing. He's bald, he's a little older than his prime. So he's not, you don't look at him and think we're going to have him be the sexy main character. You look at him and go, we're going to have him be covered in fucking blue paint with a bunch of scars on him and make him a monster who's dumb and funny. And so that's what we got. We got Drax, we got Duke from Glass Onion. You guys remember his performance in Glass Onion? Hilarious. He was like one of those like douchebag alpha male fucking guys. Very funny performance if you haven't seen Glass Onion. Also a good sequel. I'm putting him in good actor. I think that Dave Bautista is a good actor. And the thing about Dave Bautista is he doesn't just stick to the obvious stereotypes. Although you'll see him in the movies like My Spy or like The Killer's Game where he just plays like a beefy hitman, which is perfect. But then you also see movies like Knock at the Cabin. Say what you will about the quality of that movie because I don't like it that much, but I do love certain aspects. And one of the things I love about Knock at the Cabin or Knock at the Cabin Door, whatever it is that Dave Bautista plays a kind of against type, gentle, he's a leader, but he's also kind of a pussy. It's a very weird character for Dave Bautista to play, and he plays it great. Really good. I don't think I've actually seen him as like the lead of a movie that has blown my mind. I think I saw My Spy, one of those ones. And obviously was not crazy about the film, but I think really where Dave Bautista shines is when he's got a character that that like behaves differently than other characters. Whether that's like Drax, where he's just like way dumber than everybody else, or if it's like Knock at the Cabin, where he's like way softer than you would expect. If you give him a character where he does something against what you expect somebody who looks like Dave Bautista to do, I think he's good for that. Faux show. So for me, Dave Bautista, good actor. Not the GOAT. I think he's still got a long ways to go before I liked him in Dune, but I think he needs a role as like a true villain. He needs a role as the bad guy in a movie that is not to be fucked with. And then maybe that could hoist him, into GOAT territory. Hopefully you guys feel me on that. All right. So next we've got, this one's for you, Cartoon Man. Per your comment earlier, we've got the Macho Man, Randy Savage, as Bonesaw in Spider-Man 2002, the first live-action Spider-Man film with Tobey Maguire. You guys know Bonesaw, okay? Now listen, I'm gonna where am I at here? Let's pull me up. Listen to me. Come on. When I tell you that Spider-Man 2002 was like the only movie I cared about from when it came out until the next one came out, the 2 years between the first 2 Spider-Man movies, all I cared about was Spider-Man. It was like, that was it. And specifically, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2002. And for those of you that haven't seen the movie or maybe a little rusty on it, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I'm putting Bonesaw as the GOAT, okay? There might be one more to get up there. Maybe The Rock has done enough, maybe not. I don't know. But here's the thing. I don't really care. I'm allowed to put him as the GOAT. And here's why. I'm going to give you one, or I'll give you three reasons why he's the best, okay? Number one, his name's Bonesaw. He's a local schlubby, greasy New York wrestler named Bonesaw. That's a character that belongs in any New York movie, not just Spider-Man. Any movie in New York needs a Bonesaw. Okay, so that's reason number one. Reason number two, the entire time that he is in this movie, which is just the one scene where he's in a cage with Peter trying to take him out, the banter between him and Tobey Maguire is probably, to me, the best quippiness Tobey Maguire's ever delivered as Spider-Man. And Bonesaw, my man Macho Man Randy Savage, rest in peace, brought that out of him, okay? He made a few remarks that maybe didn't age so well. But that's more on Tobey than Randy Savage. Okay, Carlos, this one's for you, man. You guys might want to turn the volume down right quick. Bonesaw is ready. Oh man, I've never been more cringed out at myself, but I'm just, we're talking about wrestling, so I feel like the gruff voice, I just have to do it anytime. So yeah, listen, the boy's the GOAT, okay? Bonesaw is forever going to be a meme, and an iconic one at that, something that we always remember, and I love him. So to me, Bonesaw, goated as fuck. All right, next we've got, this one is interesting because this is also, this is kind of cameo territory, but I thought it was fun just because of the lineup, okay? And there's actually two of these on here. This one is Goldberg. Bill Goldberg, just better known as Goldberg. He was the kind of OG fucking barbed wire on the bicep, bro. He was the original that guy. And he was in a little remake called The Longest Yard. It was a Burt Reynolds movie, and then it became a remake, which was an Adam Sandler movie with Burt Reynolds. How about that? Not a great movie as far as Adam Sandler movies goes. This one's quite forgettable. Goldberg, it was just a cameo. I can't listen. I don't think like Stone Cold Steve Austin was also in that movie, and we'll talk more about him. It's weird because with a cameo role, you're not really doing enough as an actor for people to judge your performance. I mean, you can have a cameo that has a super impactful performance. It happens. Look at Wesley Snipes' Blade. Hello. But Goldberg, small cameo, small role in this movie. Not really enough to judge. However, Stone Cold Steve Austin, who's also in this movie, has like just as small of a role, and I definitely can judge his performance. I think maybe because he has like more lines, like more to do. Goldberg's just like a member of the team, of the guards team, but you don't really see a lot. Oh man, John pulling out the DP cuts. Look at this. I'm gonna read this comment. Fuck The Longest Yard. He was awesome as the main killer in Santa's Sleigh, and was so bad he's good in Universal Soldier 2. I gotta be honest with you, Johnny. Those are two films I've not seen, so I'm gonna check them out, and I'm gonna get back to you on that, bud. But I believe you. I think you and I, especially when it comes to things that are so bad they're funny, or so bad they're fun, I think you and I agree on a lot of that stuff. So maybe we'll get to it. All right, next we've got Andre the Giant. This picture is obviously from his most iconic performance, kind of the only one I'm familiar with, which is The Princess Bride. Okay, The Princess Bride. Andre the Giant. For those of you that are wrestling fans of, the 70s, especially the late 70s, Andre the Giant is just a huge Russian man, and that's kind of his thing. And how do they cast him in movies? They cast him as just a huge Russian man. Pretty good. Now listen, he's not doing Knock at the Cabin, okay, dramatic roles. He's not doing cutesy spy comedies where like he's got like a little kid and he's got to like change a diaper and shoot a spy. He's not, he wasn't doing these things. He showed up in The Princess Bride, a great parody film, kind of poking fun at like the romance novels of the era. And I love that. And I love him in this movie. I'm going to put it at good actor because you know what? His role was certainly big enough for him to have some chops. And while his line delivery was weird and kind of clunky and awkward, that's just how he talked, And I feel that playing this kind of gentle but brutal character. That's just kind of so perfect. The casting of that, the performance to go with it. I say he's a good actor. Was a good actor, you know. And I would feel I couldn't put him in fine. I love that role. I love that movie too much. So, you know, what do you want me to say? Fuck you. Okay, this is my list. Okay, next we've got Steve Austin and Kevin Nash. But we're just going to be talking about Steve Austin right now. We'll get to Kevin Nash later. Stone Cold Steve Austin, the only movie I've ever seen him in was also The Longest Yard, a movie that, again, I find forgettable. Not my favorite Happy Madison production, okay? Stone Cold Steve Austin, what's there to say about his role? He's a bad actor. I don't know how else to say it. Again, this is the only movie I've seen him in. I know he's been in like some B slashers or something. I know that. Okay, but his acting chops are fucked. If you see The Longest Yard, it's noticeably bad. It's funny because like I said, a cameo role can go one of two ways, or three ways, really. It could be small, but super meaningful and super impactful. It does happen, okay? Or it could be small and too small. It could be so small that nothing happens. It's just kind of it was there, didn't serve the story. Think of that as like the Stan Lee cameo, you know, where it's like it doesn't add anything to the story, but it's just kind of fun to see. And then there's the ones that detract. And Stone Cold Steve Austin's performance in The Longest Yard detracts. Oh, yeah, The Expendables. Thank you, John. I knew I saw him in something else. It was The Expendables. Yeah. I don't know if he was great in those movies. I honestly, I guess he was fine, honestly. You know what? He was fine. I'm going to put him in fine actor because I just specifically described him that way. Yeah. All right. You convinced me, John. This time you've convinced me, my man. I'm comfortable. Actually, looking at this list so far, it's funny as hell to me. We've got Randy Savage as the GOAT. That's so funny, dude. I'm proud of myself for that. I'm not letting anyone talk me out of that one. Good actors here, which I fully am behind this. Dave Bautista and Andre the Giant. Fine actor, Stone Cold. That took some convincing, but we got there. Nobody that was just a cameo yet. Oh, wait, no. This is the problem here. Goldberg needs to go back down to cameo, and Stone Cold can go up to fine. How about that? That's better. How about that? Is everybody happy? It doesn't matter as long as I'm happy. Let's talk a little bit more about some of these guys. Just, you know, before we get on to the rest of this list, because there's some funny shit we're gonna get to. Okay. But I want to kind of like simmer in this for a minute, because as we get to my takes, I do want to make sure that you all know what I'm doing here is ranking their acting performances based on what I have seen and how I feel, but also if this were to be a ranking just based on the transition made from wrestling to acting, it would be too muddy anyway, because a lot of these dudes, God love them, they still wrestle. You know, The Rock made a comeback recently with John Cena was there in Denver. I you know, that's pretty cool. My brother texted me. He was there. He lives in Denver. He was there. And he texted me. He's like, dude, the fucking Rock just came out. That was pretty cool. So I'm not shitting on these guys as wrestlers, as actors, as men, as anything. Look at real quick. This is the most American fucking image I've ever seen. This is obviously Rowdy Roddy. The most American image. He's holding like a shotgun. He's got his shades on. This is from They Live. And he's got this American flag in the background, flannel shirt. Rowdy Roddy, baby. We'll talk more about him actually when we get to him. So yeah, I'm not trying to shit on anybody. I'm not trying to shit on these guys or their careers. I'm simply shitting on their acting chops. All right. That being said, Jesse Ventura. This is an image of him from Predator, obviously. Okay, obviously. Where are my Jesse Ventura fans at? Where are you at, boys? Come on, I know you guys are here. Piper, yeah, dude, Darnell, I can't wait to talk about Piper. I can't wait. I have a funny kind of anecdote for that. But right now we're talking about Jesse Ventura. If we're going just based on acting, he's a good actor. Okay, here's the thing. I love Predator like anybody else does. Jesse Ventura is just like, he's kind of one of those wrestlers that like just makes you get all fucking jacked up. You know, you watch him wrestle and you're like, oh, I want to be manly like Ventura. And same thing with his performance in Predator. He just is who he is, face value. They gave him the role that best fits him, and he played it very well. And if that's all he ever did, he did good. I like Jesse Ventura. And I also think, there's obviously going to be a clear bias here with wrestlers that I also like, Like, I'm not a huge fan of Hulk Hogan as a wrestler or as, like, a character, but also I think he's a shit actor, Yeah, Ventura, I agree, Bucket Man. Ventura and Predator rules ass, man. I love it. All right, next we got Dwayne The Rock Johnson, a.k.a. Black Adam, a.k.a. It's about drive, it's about power. We stay hungry. Dwayne Johnson. $7. Dwayne Johnson. Producer extraordinaire Dwayne Johnson. Future presidential candidate Dwayne Johnson. I mean, guys, there is just absolutely so much, maybe too much for me to say. This is the one where it could go one of two ways. I'll show you an example. I could do the obvious and throw him in GOAT, where he probably belongs. Why? Well, he not only became a very successful actor, he is a franchise maniac. He is franchise steroids. You put him in the Fast and the Furious franchise. Boom. The franchise takes a new direction, has a new focus. He gets his own spin-off, the only guy to do it. That's interesting. He got Henry Cavill back as Superman, even if it was only for a blue balls teaser at the end of Black Adam, which honestly, I think Black Adam is fine. I think it's a fine movie. As I would say, I enjoy it even. Didn't hate it. Did not hate it. Think it gets way too much hate. So I could put him in GOAT. I mean, he's, knock around guys. The Rundown. Be Cool. When he played Elliot, the gay bodyguard in Be Cool, fucking loved him for that. But here's the other thing. He's also Dwayne Johnson, right? He's the guy who always has a heart of gold. Ain't gonna play no villain. Okay? Anti-hero, yes. Villain, never. Won't kiss a girl on screen. Doesn't have the guts to do a love scene, But he's funny. He is charming. He is cool. But that's not what this is about, is it? It's about whether or not he's a good actor. And to be honest, he is. Dwayne Johnson has proven he's a GOAT. Okay, I'm not talking about, I don't care if he pees in bottles on set. Okay, fuck you. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is, oh, this is great. You had The Rock on your 18th birthday cake. Steven, amazing. Amazing. Here's the thing. Look, love him or hate him as a douchebag, or love him or hate him as whatever. I find him to be wholesome, mostly. I've heard that he's a mostly wholesome guy. But it's not about that. Can he act? Yes. He's got a movie coming out with A24, a biopic. That's cool. Hopefully he acts his ass off in that movie, because it is going to require it. It's kind of an Iron Claw, type biopic. And he's going to need those chops. But he is, kind of a villain doesn't count, Glindle, doesn't count. He's got to be like the villain. And Dave Bautista got to be a villain, But The Rock has been like things like Pain and Gain, which probably my favorite Michael Bay movie. Did he direct that? I think he did. I'm not like the world's biggest Michael Bay fan, but he's got some fucking bangers. Let's admit it. The Rock, Ambulance, Bad Boys 2. Okay. So Michael Bay's done some good pictures. The Rock in Pain and Gain, awesome. Very funny. Kind of sweet. There was a sweetness and sensitiveness to him that I really enjoyed, a tenderness. Yeah, he was. I mean, I think everybody in Pain and Gain did a great job in that movie. Jeremy Piven, everybody in that movie, amazing. But yeah, I mean, like The Rock, he's done some kind of drama, like whether it's like the sweet Disney movies, like that one where he plays a football player named he's got like the most like ridiculous main character. And it's like Joe Payton or like something stupid. And he like does like his sweet thing in that. He's been like Snitch, where he's been kind of like a rough and gruff, I don't give a fuck kind of guy. To be honest, he's the only reason any of those new Fast and the Furious movies are worth a damn, if you ask me. Fuck Vin Diesel. But The Rock makes those movies kind of fun, you know? So, yeah, I think The Rock belongs in GOAT. And honestly, I wasn't sure where I was going to put him because I was thinking I could go one of two ways. I could go with the fact that he's also kind of annoying, you know? Like, in just in the sense, he shows up in everything as himself. It's always like Jungle Cruise. It's going to be the same with the Red One, where he's just like this guy. We have to do this together. Oh, man, but shout out to The Rock and Jumanji as Dr. Smolder Gravestone. Or whoever it was, Smolder Gravestone, something like that. Hilarious. Bravestone, that was it. Mr. Bucketman, The Rock is not a GOAT. He does the same 5 faces in... Yeah, you're right. I was just talking about that. Not much range. Pain and Gain was my favorite of his. See, I think he's done enough to kind of give us the range that is possible for him. Obviously, he can't play like, you know, he's not gonna fully immerse into a character like, you know, Christian Bale in The Machinist or something. But I don't think that's what The Rock is trying to do. I think in terms of being an actor, he knows what he's doing. I actually think there was a moment in this stupid movie. I love it, but it's really silly. It's called Central Intelligence with Kevin Hart, which some people hate those two together for some reason. I don't know why. I like it. I think it's cute. And there's this really sweet moment in Central. I can't believe I'm talking about this. In Central Intelligence, where The Rock is kind of like emotional, wants to cry. It is very dramatic, and honestly, kind of made me cry. So, goated. Sorry, Mr. Bucketman. Goated. Now we're going to talk about Mr. Roddy Piper. Roddy Piper. Listen, guys. Listen to me very carefully. You guys are going to turn on me because I've seen Roddy in 2 things. I've seen him in They Live, which is brilliant and awesome, and I like it. And I've seen him in this movie that I can only describe as a Harry Potter knockoff. Okay? It's kind of one of those like Neil Breen movies where it's like made, the whole thing was like made in like Microsoft Paint. You know, they just took like some PNG files and kind of just moved them around. Kind of like how I do our Joe Blow animations, basically. They just like hand animate very bad looking, very cringy, like, you know, green screen composites and stuff. And he was so weird and creepy and not in a good way in that movie. He kind of was like, I kind of thought he shouldn't be trusted around children in that movie, to be honest. But I also have to remember They Live, you know, which acting wise, even not bad, really not bad. And I mean that. I mean, you know, you say what you will, but I think not terrible. I'm going to put him in fine actor. Fuck it. You know what? I love Roddy. I love saying Roddy. I love his name. Murica, you know? Fuck it. He's a fine actor. I'm allowed to do whatever I want. How about that? All right, next we've got John Cena. I almost said Peacemaker, but his name is not Peacemaker. His name is John Cena. Ricky Stenicki. And a bunch of other things. Okay? All the things. Here's the thing with John Cena. Very similar to The Rock and Dave Bautista. He's really one of the big 3 that have done it, right? There's been like The Rock, Dave Bautista, John Cena. Those are our boys that have like fully done it. I have seen John Cena in some very good movies. I've seen John Cena in some pretty like bad movies, you know, like direct to DVD like type shit, you know? Like, wasn't he in like The Marine or something? That movie wasn't very good. Or The Marine 2 even. I don't know. He was in one of those movies. Man on Fire. Not Man on Fire, but something like that, you know? Anyway, the whole point is I've seen him do things that I think are not good. But where I think John Cena truly shines is comedy. I think he's funny. And I think he knows how to use his physicality to his advantage. Like, have you guys seen the movie Blockers or Cock Blockers? I don't know like what they call it. It's like a picture of a rooster and then the movie's called Blockers. So you tell me. It's like a funny, stupid, like Judd Apatow movie where like these like 3 parents, their kids are going to prom and they made a pact that they're all going to lose their virginities at prom. So their parents learn about it and have to like go stop them without getting caught. Very silly movie. It's a movie that I think is genuinely hilarious, though. And one of the reasons that I think that movie is so funny, John Cena. The problem is, I don't know. I think John Cena has maybe even less range than The Rock, because I can't picture John Cena doing anything other than being a funny, cocky idiot. Basically, I think he's hilarious, and I think he's charming, and I think he's cool. And Peacemaker is probably one of the best DC shows I've ever seen. But I don't think he's like there yet. I'm gonna put him with Dave Bautista in good actor. I think he is a good actor when you give him material that makes sense, funny, dumb jock kind of thing. But I don't know. I haven't even seen him really try anything outside of that. And the stuff that I have seen him try, like The Marine or whatever the name of that movie is, kind of shit, kind of not that good. Not a huge fan. So I'm with it. All right, guys. Next, we're getting down to it, guys. And these next ones are, two of them are kind of goofs, and two of them are kind of not. Okay, so this next one is Kevin Nash. For those of you that don't know, Kevin Nash, most people probably know Kevin Nash as the Russian in the 2005 The Punisher film with Thomas Jane, which so underrated. Can we please stop pretending that movie doesn't kick ass? I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of having to beg people to admit it. It's good. It's fun. It's awesome, actually. You know what? How about this? Kevin Nash as the Russian in the Punisher movie with Thomas Jane. That should be goated. I almost want to put that on the level. I almost want to put that on the level of Randy Savage, but I won't do that. I can't do that. But I want to, you know. Anyway, Kevin Nash. The only two things I saw, he was also in The Longest Yard, you know, but everybody sucks in that movie except for like Chris Rock, and like surprisingly Burt Reynolds is all right. And I say surprisingly because at that age, you know, he doesn't give a fuck anymore. Most of the movies you see him in, he doesn't give a fuck. Kevin Nash, he was not good in The Longest Yard. He was great as the Russian, but he doesn't talk. He has no lines. He's just a big, physical, brute, scary man. But he also played Super Shredder in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze. And he also has like no lines in that, you know. Cameo. I'm putting him in cameo because basically I've only seen the one performance I've ever seen him speak in was not great, but it wasn't terrible. Oh, and he was in John Wick, wasn't he? He have a small role, I think, in John. Yeah. He did. Somebody comment, please, and tell me if I'm remembering that correctly. I believe I saw Kevin Nash in John Wick, and he was okay. That whole movie was good, so you know. Yeah, I agree with Celso Vera. I'm so sorry. Celso Vera. John Cena in Trainwreck was really funny. And as much as I hate Amy Schumer, and I fucking hate Amy Schumer, Trainwreck was funny, and John Cena, always a treat. Okay, next we got Triple H. Pedigree man himself. I've seen him in also a couple. He kind of went the way of the Hulk Hogan, didn't he? He kind of went the way of the Hollywood Hulk Hogan, I think, because I seen him in Blade Trinity. That's what everybody would know him from, if nothing else. He was a very, very cringe edgelord fucking vampire in that movie that like is like sexually in love with his dog. I don't know. It's weird. He's a weirdo. He's a fucking weirdo, and he sucks in that movie. But I also saw him in that. It's kind of like the Mr. Nanny thing that Hollywood Hulk Hogan did. Okay. He was in a movie called like The Babysitter or like The Tooth Fairy. It's like one of those fucking movies, and it was bad. Okay, it was one of those ones. I saw it because it was one of those ones where like when Netflix first started doing like streaming at home, like when you didn't have to rent the DVD online anymore, and they started doing, oh, now you can watch at home on the streaming service. They had like a whole bunch of just B movies, like basically the equivalent of the $5 DVD bin at Walmart. And I saw so many unbelievably bad movies that year. It was awesome, truly. But Triple H, man, he is a bad actor. I have seen his performance. He's a supporting. He's not even a cameo in Blade Trinity. He is one of the villains. He's a henchman, but he's like the henchman to Parker Posey, who's like the secondary villain. and he's bad. He's very bad. He's no good. He's no fun. He can't act. I don't like him. Yeah. There we go. Hunter is ass. There we go. That's a good way to describe it, Darnell. He's ass. Thank you. All right, next. This one I just put in here for fun. This is Big Show. And that time he played Captain Insano in Adam Sandler's The Water Boy. It was just a cameo, so I'm just putting it there. But I have to say, it impacted me. It actually, I mean, like, it did mean something. He played Captain Insano, and we have seen him reprise that role, like, at WWE, dressed that way, with, like, the American flag onesie. The Captain Insano shit in Waterboy is so funny to me because you look at how silly and goofy it is, and you think that's the source of where he's learning how to do all of these crazy fucking moves. On the like when he suplexes his Colonel Sanders looking philosophy teacher, he learned that from the Big Show. Captain Insano shows no mercy. That's how I sound when I do that. All right, and then lastly we have Christopher Jericho. Chris Jericho. I think I've only seen him in the Terrifier movies, which were just cameos, and he was not great. Chris Jericho's not a great actor. He's not the next Dave Bautista. He's not the next Dwayne fucking Johnson. He's not the next John Cena. He's just Chris Jericho. He was just, he was an orderly that showed up at the end of Terrifier 2 that immediately gets killed in Terrifier 3. There you go. Spoiler alert. All right. So let's take one more final look at the list, you guys. In the GOAT category, okay, we've got Randy. I said Racho Ran. Macho Man, Randy Savage as Bonesaw. That's a specialty GOAT request just for me. Then we have who I believe is the actual GOAT of wrestling to acting, which is Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Just saying. Good actors. We've got Dave Bautista. I stand by that. We've got Andre the Giant, Jesse Ventura, and John Cena. That's good. That's really, honestly, so far, it's kind of hard to argue with those two tiers. Okay. Fine actors. We've got Stone Cold Steve Austin and Rowdy Roddy Piper. Cameos that are too hard to judge but still kind of suck or are still kind of good. Goldberg in The Longest Yard. Kevin Nash, who just plays non-speaking roles apparently, which is fine. Captain Insano, The Big Show, and Chris Jericho. And then the two actors that I think are wrestlers that tried to become actors that fucking sucked at it. Hulk Hogan and Triple H. Hogan and H. Okay, the two H's, fuck those dudes, I mean, not, but fuck their acting. That's what I'm trying to. Let's plug some merch. You guys let's talk about merch. We're not going to do a contest tonight. I want to wait until we maybe accrued a few more homies so we can do contests and give other people a chance to get some stuff. So don't worry, we'll get you next time. But if you guys do want to support us and buy some merch, which of course would mean a lot to me personally, please visit our store. We have some great designs. If you're a movie lover, you love to wear your movie references on your shirts like I do, like everyone does, we have some shit for you. Specifically, I love this Point Break shirt, this rock and roll one with the dead or ex-presidents, and that Poltergeist one for sure. You can also, though, if you want to go vintage, get a logo tee. I have one. All right, guys. Oh, and thank you, Mr. Bucket Man, for watching Taylor's Bill Murray video. Whoop, whoop. Yeah. I love Bill Murray. I mean, he's an asshole, right? But I love his movies. All right, guys. As usual, I want you guys all to have a great weekend. Watch some movies. Let me know what movies you're going to go see this weekend. You can drop some comments below. I always read them after the show. And then as well, check out the merch store. Make sure you're subscribed. Share this kind of stuff. It means a lot. I'm going to see you guys next Friday, and I'll tell you what, you're not going to want to miss that show. It's going to be a fun one, and you better be there, okay? You're going to want to be there. All right. Go Mike Tyson. I love you all. Have a great one.